War Dogs.
War Dogs.
The story kind of, I think, for most people will know it came to light through a very sort of infamous Rolling Stone article which basically kind of laid out everything that went, everything that they did in a kind of sort of extravagant, almost sort of Hunter S. Thompson gonzo journalism style article, and they've made a movie about it. Miles Teller plays David Packhouse, who about 12 years ago, 13 years ago
Was a masseuse.
was a masseur.
Monsieur,
Yeah,
Oh,
a
is
male
it?
one. Struggling along, has a chance meeting again with an old friend,
Jonah Hill.
Ephraim Diveroli. He gets him into the sort of small-time arms dealing business.
Yeah.
And they initially make a packet selling to the US government, and they get greedy. They do the sort of, they sort of get corrupted, they employ dubious practices, and
It's Scarface.
It's Scar, which is a point that they desperately try to stress in the movie, because there are about 250 mentions of Scarface in the movie.
We should have a Scarface poster behind us, because they do during like every 8th scene in this movie.
Scarface? The strange thing about this movie is there's an interesting story there. This movie and Todd Phillips don't know how to present it. Todd Phillips making this movie can't really decide, I think, whether he wants to make a sort of serious, cynical look at the world of modern day arms dealing, or if he wants to make a kind of knockabout bro-down comedy. So it ends up stuck in this kind of no man's land where you are unsure about just exactly what they were aiming for, because you watch it and you think, well, Todd, what was the plan? Were you trying to make, The Men Who Stare at Goats, or were you trying to make something closer to The Wolf of Wall Street? And it comes across as a strangely messed up, directionless kind of waste of time.
You seriously want to drive to Baghdad?
David, we're gun runners. Let's go run some guns.
Todd Phillips and Jonah Hill came out to introduce the movie. Jonah Hill, really, he looked at his shoes and he didn't look very comfortable to be there. Todd Phillips said, here's the movie. If you like it, then please tweet about it. And if you didn't like it, go take a walk.
Yes.
And so the strange thing is, this is the third Warner Brothers movie that we've watched. Well, within the space of a year that we've been to see. That's been introduced by the director, and they've come out and they've sort of gone, oh, this repeat occurrence from Warner Brothers where they're not sure about their own product.
No.
Is this safe, driving to Baghdad? Very safe. 50-50.
This feels like the weapons version, a failed weapons version of The Big Short. Because I like The Big Short, and The Big Short was kind of a comedy about the financial collapse of recent times. This was meant to be about the Iraq War and about some people making money from it, and they wanted to make a comedy out of it, and they failed to make a comedy, and they certainly failed to make a point. I absolutely loathe the two main characters in this, and Miles Teller and Jonah Hill are both very, very good actors.
Yeah, they're both good. With this movie, I think it's sort of, again, stuck in the middle ground of, well, they're sort of arseholes, but don't we bloody love them?
Yeah.
And it's this weird thing where you really find them repellent, and the movie doesn't.
They call guys like us war dogs, bottom feeders who make money off of war without ever stepping foot on the battlefield.
Show you about my culture.
It was meant to be derogatory, but we kind of liked it.
We don't play fair.
The movie begins and Miles Teller's complaining basically about his circumstances. I'm here massaging these naked rich guys.
Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, he is the naked rich guy. But there's kind of no sense of irony there. And it's sort of this weird thing where you sort of, he goes from point A to point B, and kind of like, you don't feel like the movie is sort of giving you a lesson.
No.
And it's very, and the weird thing, he starts off and he's kind of moaning, saying, you know, this is fucking horrible. But he, you know, he lives in Miami with his like
model
girlfriend. And you sort of, from the get-go, you sort of think, I don't give a shit that you're complaining, because it sort of seems to me like you've got it pretty good anyway, before you get into the business of arms dealing.
Jonah Hill is such a good actor, and basically he's been given seemingly free rein, which is usually given enough rope to hang themselves. And unfortunately Jonah Hill hangs himself in this movie.
Twice over.
Jonah Hill just does this awful laugh throughout it, where he kind of goes,
Jonah one day came into me and he goes, I'll tell you one thing, I have his laugh down.
Jonah Hill, you're way above that. And
It's better than Jared Leto's Joker laugh, I think. They sort of tell a story. I don't think they've quite got their head around what sort of story it is. That's my kind of feeling here, is they're just not sure. Todd Phillips, Warner Brothers just don't know how to present this. It's stuck in a middle ground of, yeah, it's in this little kind of no man's land between knockabout romping, bro down comedy, sly, cynical kind of many stare at goats type of thing, and a bit of a Scorsese crime drama. And it incorporates all these elements and never shines through with a single one of them.
No.
You drove these through the Triangle of Death.
The Triangle of Death, bro?
We drive through all triangles, including your mom's.
We gon' delirious.